Every week, a new band. Brought to you by NZ On Air. Active Live! Yeah.
Kia ora, Active whānau, and welcome to Active Live. We have the very vibrant Wiri Donna and band in studio today. Kia ora, guys.
Kia ora, kia ora.
How are you going?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
I am good. I'm happy it's Friday and I'm happy that the sun is out.
Yeah, I am super stoked about the weather right now.
Yeah.
The weather yesterday had me feeling all kinds of winter blues oncoming, and then today it's been lovely and sunny, joyous.
It is. It's
Yeah.
joyous because the sun is celebrating that you are embarking on the Being Alone EP tour.
Yes.
Just Mother Earth showing up for you. That's all.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Mum. So yes, you are here. Do you want to take us through the band members and who will be performing with you today and tonight?
Yes. Well, in the studio right now, we have James McEwen on the drums over there. We've got Clark Matthews from the Darts Acclaim and Fame on the bass today. And we've got Elliot Dawson of the Acclaim and Fame today. And I'm Bianca, Wiri Donna. Yeah. And then, so slightly different lineup. Harry, who usually plays bass, is currently at jazz school doing recitals. So he'll be joining us for the San Fran show tonight. And then we'll also have Ben Stewart from Homicide and Celia
wonderful.
McAlpine on violin as well.
Wow,
Yeah,
big
it's gonna
lineup
be
for tonight.
Big band, big business, rock music.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So yes, you have recently released your Being Alone EP, which has done huge numbers on both the SRN and the national charts, like the mainstream charts, which is incredible. How have you felt about the response to the EP release?
Very, very heartwarming. It's been super heartwarming. I think it's so bizarre when you spend so much time working on something. And I've been talking about that journey that you go through of being like, you know, you go into the studio and you record it and you're so stoked because it's being like life is being like breathed into this music, and then you're like so excited about it, and then it sort of all gets finished, and then you're sitting on it for months and you spend a couple of months being like, oh, maybe this isn't the vibe, maybe I've done something, or like you start critiquing it, and then it's out and then you feel incredibly relieved and you're like, oh no, I'm the only one who's having those thoughts about it. Everyone's loving it and enjoying it. And also just, feeling like I've been able to put something out, and with everyone who's been along and a part of that process, I think we're all pretty stoked. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you worked with James Goldsmith on the recording process. How was that experience? What did he have to add to your art, I guess?
It was definitely an awesome experience. It was the first time I've sort of taken a project to a proper studio to record before, like my own thing before. And so it was really awesome to have someone who was super welcoming in that space and was sort of there to sort of be like, okay, I'm here to sort of help you execute your vision and what you're doing. And just like, the atmosphere in the studio and feeling like James definitely felt like the right person in terms of the sound that, like, he knew the kind of sound that we were going for, and he knew exactly how to help us capture that.
Cool.
Which is pretty epic. Yeah.
Be able to click onto it. Before we get into the first track, I did want to ask you a question about the, I guess, sonic transition between like Manuka and Wandering Willies, the first couple of singles that you released under the name of Wiri Donna, and now this body of work, both equally brilliant but very different sounding. How did you bridge that gap or create that bridge, I guess, to get between those two sounds?
Yeah, I think the with the first couple of singles, I wanted to, for me, the like natural songwriting process was like acoustic guitar, writing like this, focusing on songwriting and sort of being a little bit more folky, because that's what I'd sort of been surrounded by all the way that I'd grown up around songwriting. And then I love like indie guitar, like rock music is, so this was always the place that I wanted to go, and it felt like a very natural transition to be like, okay, this is how I'm starting and I know where I want to go, but I know that I probably couldn't execute that at that point in time, and it felt like a comforting place to start here and then be like, okay, I'm going to build up to the band into that full sound that I wanted to go for.
That's very interesting. I want to come back to that. But let's get into our first track. What are we listening to today?
We're going to kick off with Big Pop. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh. Walking around these old empty streets, do they feel incomplete? Got a bit of life in mind. Are you satisfied with what's behind you? Not looking too far forward. I would hate to forge a path for you to follow. It becomes clear that I don't want you anymore. It becomes clear I could probably make you go away. We talk about presenting other people as options. But I prefer to
Call bullshit on transactional relationships.
What's the point in living if you're living like a dog? Playing games of catch and fish, I'll pick it up tomorrow. It becomes clear that I don't want you here anymore. It becomes clear I could probably make you go away.
You are listening to the very, very live sounds of Wiri Donna and the track called Big Pop right here on Active Live. And it does do a big pop.
It's a big pop.
It's a poppin'
Big
it's a
pop.
poppin' song. So I wanted to chat to you a little bit about the imagery behind this whole release, because I follow you on social media, so I've been seeing it as it's been released, and it's been incredible. Primarily, I want to focus on your collaborations with Kenzie Pigman and Millicent, who did your animations, because they're just really, really cool, and often you are solitary in those images to, I guess, tie in with Being Alone, the EP, but you don't ever look lonely. It always looks very just like beautiful and like comforting and soft. So how did those how did those collaborations come to pass, and how do you feel about it all?
Yeah, I think so. The imagery which was done with Kenzie, which is all the vinyl artwork and all of the single artwork, was something that was very scary for me because it was like the first time I'd ever done a sort of professional or like proper like photo shoot, and I was a little bit like I knew the sort of general vibe that I wanted to go for, but I didn't necessarily know how to execute that. And I had Adrian Atelier make this beautiful dress for me, and Kenzie did the photo shoot, and we did a couple of different locations. And once again, it was just a matter of like working with people who knew how much the project meant to me, and wanting to help facilitate this, like had the skills to be able to execute the stuff that I had sort of like imagined over here, which was really epic. And then with the animations with Millie, I actually started back in when we did like a live session of Manuka Money. Millie, they did a couple of little animations to go on the like entry point of that live session, and they hit me up and was like, yeah, hey, like I've been doing a bunch more of like 3D design, and I'd really love to work on something a little bit more elaborate than what we did the first time. And honestly, it was just sort of us getting together and having a couple of conversations about it, and then teasing out all of these different ideas about how it felt like it would be nice to create this whole world of sort of like a place that had two different characters to it. So I suppose you've seen the like point of this like digital world, which is a place that is essentially my home, or like my home, or what my home would look like if I lived in this very funky little space. And there's another side of it which I think is sort of like, you know, obviously the music is very like, there's a lot of like happy guitar sounds and very like bright and uplifting, but it's got a lot of sort of darker concepts behind it. And so there's another visual side which will sort of get shown in full in the music video, which is still a little bit away. But yeah, just working with awesome people who just want to help you like do awesome creative shit. Yeah.
It's all good. They want to support you, obviously. Have you worked with many people before, like to this extent, collaborating with so many people with other releases and other bands that you've done, or just your own stuff?
Never have I ever had the. It's also been really awesome, and I've been really lucky to have like NZ On Air funding, which has sort of enabled me to go a little bit more out of the perimeters of what I would usually be able to do with those concepts, and just be a little bit more free reign over the potential of what we could create. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
So we are also talking about the tour.
Yes.
So it's a six top, lots of S's, 6-stop tour.
Yeah.
And you're starting tonight at San Fran. How are you feeling about the tour?
I'm feeling very nervous, but very excited. We haven't played shows in what feels like forever. James has been based up in Auckland for the last 6 months or so. Yeah, something like that. So we feel a little bit. I'm just so excited that we can all sort of come together again and play live shows, because I think it's such a huge part of what drives me creatively, as well as getting that payoff of and also being able to workshop new material in front of an audience. Like it's so important, and I love it so much. So like, I'm just so very, very stoked that we can finally get back to doing that and doing like 6 dates in a sort of succinct period of time. It's going to be awesome.
It's very cool. And you are finishing up in Queenstown.
Yes.
The very, very end of it. A little free show.
We're going to do a free show in Queenstown over at Yonder. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
It'll be heaps of fun. Yeah.
Yes. Should we go into the second track?
Second track. Yeah, we're going to do
go.
Dream of Me. Dream of Me. That is the name of the song. Is called Dream of Me. Yes, more dreams. Sorry, I just realised that.
No, that's okay. We can carry on talking if you're needing to do tuning. That's all good.
The song used to be called More Straws. That's why every time I go to say it, I say fumble words.
More straws, like strawberries.
More strawberries.
All right, we'll talk about the name change after this, because that's very interesting.
Okay, let's hit it. Yeah. Woo.
Dream of Me. Live in studio for Active Live by Wiri Donna and band. So good. I must confess that is my favourite single from the EP. Just beautiful. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the music video that you did with sports team. Sports team. I was about to say sports stream, and I was like, no, that's another one. Sports team. It's such a great video. I think it's really, really cool. How did you come up with that concept? How was it like the filming process for you? Like all the different takes and everything, and the puppets, or
it was awesome. So I met up with Callum and Annabelle. It must have been very early on in 2021. That was last year. Yeah, and was sort of like, hey, I'm working towards this EP, and I think this is going to be the first single, and I'd really love for you guys to make my first music video. And I played them the track, and they were like, yeah, that's awesome. We'd love to do something. And then we had like a huge lockdown, and a big lockdown. And then we'd sort of like had plans. We had plans for so long. It's probably the most organized thing I've ever done in my life, purely just because we were like, okay, we'll try and get this done before the end of the year, but we don't really know when we're going to do it. But anyway, I ended up going up to Auckland like the day that the borders opened between like Wellington, Auckland and the rest of the city, and just like Airbnb it. And I also remember showing up and being like, having a having a little bit of a panic because I was like, oh, we've been talking about this music video for so long, and then I was sitting in the lobby waiting for them to come down, and I was like, frick, was I supposed to bring my band with me? Being like, I've flown up to Auckland, and was I supposed to bring the whole band? And like, have I messed up big time? And then Annabelle comes down and is like, well, let me introduce you to the actors for the for the day. And then immediately felt a little bit less stressed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was me and 2 other actors who played the puppet people.
So cool.
I sort of told Callum and Annabelle that I wanted something that was not pretty band does sing song. That I was like, mate, I don't want to stand there and be playing my guitar, and I hope that maybe people could derive a little bit more meaning out of the song by watching the music video. And that was sort of like the only brief that they gave me. And then they came back to me with the like pitch and proposal, and it sort of felt like at the time, like first pitch felt like it was very similar to like a terrifying house party I had where all of these people had just come in, but like the way that it was just like the band members and having to like build my own band, it was funny and it was silly and it was harmless horror vibes. It was awesome. Yeah.
Harmless horror. Absolutely harmless horror.
Yeah.
Active listeners, I highly recommend you going to go see this music video because I feel like it has the essence of the pandemic, you know, because you are essentially isolated within that music video, and then you've got these like straw people who are like helping you out and doing things. But yeah, I just felt like it was very appropriate for the time, and it did really deliver the message of the song through. I'm really interested about No Follow Through, the track that we're talking about. How did you put those lyrics down onto paper, kind of thing, and like where did that all come from?
I was very, very tired and very, very sad about the lack of things that I had maybe done in 2020. Like for me, like songwriting is such a great, I always come back to it as like as a form of like processing for me, or like trying to articulate the things that are like going on inside my head. So yeah, so I was living in like a dusty Arrow Valley flat, and I just remember being like, this isn't where I had like hoped that I'd gotten to by this point in the year. Like I had expectations that I was going to be doing all of these various different things and hopes about what 2020 was going to be for me at the beginning of that year, and just feeling like, but also and getting to the other end of it and feeling like I was super disappointed in the fact that I hadn't done any of those things, but also like no one else really cared about that, or like that didn't affect anyone else, and also everyone else had been experiencing the year that was 2020. So like, you know, like everyone had their own stuff going on in their lives, and I was like, oh, it actually doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I still felt really like gutted that I feel like I'd set these like ridiculously high expectations for myself, and like was only letting down myself. But but so it's like a little bit of like, oh, that sucks, but also like it doesn't really matter, and like, you know, you don't have to be so hard on yourself all the time as well.
Absolutely. So all right, June 2022.
Yeah.
How do you feel reflecting back now to that time? Do you feel like you're at where you want to be?
I looking back of where I am now comparatively to that time, I'm like, oh, every time the EP is like a nice reminder. Like when I hear it or when I listen to it, I'm like, oh, so glad that I'm not still in that space. Like
cool.
I'm real stoked about that. I still think that there's definitely a lot to be learned. And still in terms of like slowing down, I think like sometimes it's a little bit ironic. Like I talk about how like, oh, it's so nice to take your time with things and like all of that, and also at the same time feeling like you're constantly on the go.
Well, yeah, you're about to go on tour, so
so it's an interesting crossroads. But also I'm like, I'm very happy that I'm able to like look back on that now and be like, she's come out of it. Awesome. She's on the other side.
She's on the other side. She's growing. She's thriving. All right, let's go into our last track, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about where our listeners can find you and get tickets from.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna do Being Alone. We're gonna do the title track. I'm just gonna tune my guitar actually, because I always get really
tuning.
paranoid about.
We can talk about tickets now. So where can our listeners get tickets for your Being Alone tour?
You can get tickets from Under the Radar. If you are Wellington based, the tickets pre-sales will be available until 5:30 p.m. and then it'll be $20 on the door. So
Sweet.
yeah, either or. And if you're not Wellington based, then it's just Under the Radar.
Under the Radar,
Yeah.
go get it from there. All right, Being Alone.
Get down here quickly.
Fall into a pattern of a ghost, waking in the nighttime, feeling alone. But nobody noticed. Wrapped up in sheets, but half of them are cold. I moved my bed so the sun couldn't reach it anymore. He wrecked my favorite clothes, stretched and warped from where he tore them off of my body. He's not gentle with my body. So I placed toothpaste around my neck, an old wives' tale to get rid of bruises that nobody uses. He told me what to do with my body. I should have told him it was my breaking body. He has to us to use it. Will you pay for my hormones? I need a lethal dose, and I'll cry when I get home. Feel I did something wrong. I don't mind being alone in a ghost like me. I think about as I'm growing older, do not feel guilty any longer, 'cause I feel like I used to, and I feel like I used to. Reparations or repercussions, do you not feel entitled to any of it? Because I feel like I used to, and I feel like I used to. I feel like I used to, and I feel like I used to. Pressure on my neck, pressure to stay inside, pressure to do what's right. I feel pressure all the time.
Been Alone here, right in the Active Live room by Wiri Donna. So that is bringing us to the end of Active Live. Thank you to you all so much for bringing the tunes to the team here at Active and all of our listeners. Where can people keep up to date with what you are up to?
Probably. Instagram. Instagrams are probably the best place. Instagram or Facebook, either of those. Wiri Donna. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you tonight at the show at San Fran.
Thanks very much for having me, Active. It's been awesome.
Always. All right. And thank you so much to NZ On Air Music as well, because not only do you help us do Active Live, you've also helped Wiri Donna make Been Alone. So big shout outs to you, NZ On Air Music. And now, off to the Friday Drive.
Active Live. Friday, 3:30. Every week a new band. In studio. Brought to you by NZ On Air.